guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and this is Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, June 5th, 2018. Since I've been talking weather so much lately, I just wanted to say the rain has stopped, the humidity has come in, and now we are having a heat index in the hundreds. So we're like most of the rest of the country, so everything's okay. It just means our summer has started, and now it's time to shut up the house nice and tight and put up all the heat blocking curtains and all that stuff, and kind of make our house a little cave. I feel like I spent a good part of our week this past week running errands. There could be times where hubby and I, we might not leave the house for a week or two, but I think we were out maybe 3 or 4 days this past week, and that's a lot for us. As you can see behind me, I started working on one of the quilts. This one is Sophie's quilt. I decided to start with the easiest one first. This one has the polar fleece, and I thought, well, you know, let's just ease into it gently. I went ahead and I trimmed up all the blocks. They're not, you know, because we got rectangular, so I don't know if you want to call them squared up. But all the edges are nice and even. And now I'm just trying to decide. I took all the measurements. I know the size of the backing and all the blocks. And I just want to see today, I think I'm going to start deciding how I want to float them. I don't want them to have in nice and neat rows because there's only 7 of the blocks. So I thought I'd go ahead and just kind of let them float in the background fabric. I also finished my May UFO. Got that all quilted and bound. Do gotta say, I'm going to cheat in June, and since this is someone else's UFO, I'm using this as my June UFO. I'm a little concerned that I won't have time to work on my own UFOs, and I don't want to get behind a month, so they're allowing me to use someone else's UFOs. The rules are really lenient. It's not like there's prizes or anything like that. We're all just kind of working together to get our projects done. So why don't you come closer and I'll show you what else I worked on. If you've been following me over on YouTube, you've also seen my first video on the t-shirt quilts. I thought as I'm going through the process, I'll just go ahead and document as I'm doing it. I thought maybe it might be a little bit of a learning experience, and if not anything else, just interesting. But for me, I wanted to make sure that I can give myself any of those extra little tips and tidbits and tricks that I've been working on, so as I get to the third one, if I get a little bit of a brain freeze and forget what I was doing, I can always go back and watch the videos. So here's May's UFO, 4 patches with the black squares. I just used some fat quarters on the back, and then I used the leftover fat quarters for the binding. And because of all the different yellows, I wanted to go ahead and bring in, this is more of a goldish color. It kind of matches the rest of these rather nicely. So I brought some of those in, just to kind of make it fit all nicely with the top. This quilt doesn't have a home. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. When I was doing the quilting, I went ahead and I just practiced some of my loop-de-loops. I usually just do the regular meander, but sometimes it's nice to add some loops in. So I just tried to loop. It's, you know, it's a little funny. When you're meandering, the loops want to come in, and when you're looping, the meanderings want to come in. So I just kind of went all over it with that. I used a green thread just because, you know, I had a bobbin full of green thread still, so I used that. It matches, it goes fine with all the different green squares, so that was fine. I also did one of my washcloths, so I'm back on track, getting one done a week. This week's video, I was working on these owls. So I made 3 little owls. They're pin cushions, or you can, someone suggested that she made them before with ornaments. They make really nice ornaments, especially when you use the smaller size. This guy might be a little bit big hanging on your tree, but he looks fine sitting on a little shelf. I finished the embroidery on my 4th of July Freedom block. I decided to go ahead and border it in the, I used my red, white, and blue scraps, and I put it on the calculator tape, and I made that for my borders. I think I really need to learn how to miter the corners, because I might end up taking this off because I'm really not too pleased with the way it looks. But I mean, it's fine. And chances are I probably won't take it off because I have too many projects that I need to do to be redoing projects I've already done. This one's going to be for me for just hanging up during July, hanging up on my little mini quilt wall. I still need to add some either little buttons or probably beads on here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that after I get it all quilted, and that way the beads aren't in the way while I'm trying to quilt it. I'm not sure how much I'll quilt inside anyway, but you never want to deal with the beads getting stuck on your presser foot. So for anyone who's curious, there's the back. I used some interfacing. I used a medium weight so that you couldn't see, because I knew when I was doing the Freedom that I was going to be taking my thread and running up the letter. I did not want to have to end off on every letter and start new. If you get the light behind it, you can see the thread, but once it's all quilted up, the interfacing will keep it nice and neat so you won't notice it. Most of the time with like the stripes, I went ahead and I did this outside border first, and that way I can just run my thread through these stitches and work my way up. So that was able to hide those, and I wouldn't have to start and stop on each new line. But when I did the flowers, I definitely started and stopped. I still need to trim up a few of the ends here. But I didn't want the red. I know sometimes red shows a little bit more, and I didn't want to travel the red through. Plus there's enough on the stars as you're going round and round that it's easier to tie it off than it would be for a little letter. Like sometimes with these letters, they're not very big, so it's harder, like maybe with the F, because you already have to start and hide your starting thread. Then there's not that much room to hide your ending thread, and it ends up with too much bulk. But there's that. This is the one that's from Alley Oops Designs. It's a free pattern over on Craftsy. We got a beautiful new postcard this week. This one is from Hexham Abbey, Northumberland. If you follow the YouTube vlogs of the last homely house by the sea, she actually took us to see the outside of this castle on a little car ride when she was coming home from, I believe it was her son's house or maybe her father's, but she was on a little road trip, gave us a little tour of the outside of this castle, and then sent me this postcard. I thought that was wonderful. It's really kind of neat that she said if I go back and watch the video, she's actually filling out this postcard at the end of the video. So I'm going to have to go check that out. So thank you very much for my next postcard. I did do a little work on my bears. I did the assembly line process. This week I just went ahead and I stitched all the legs and all the arms together, and then all the ears. Those are the easiest parts. There's no manipulation to them. You just leave little holes for turning. And even with the legs, you don't even do the top and the bottom. You just do the two sides. So I don't need to follow any directions or watch any videos to make sure I'm doing the steps right. It's just simple stitching all the way down. So I went ahead and I did, I did 10 legs, 10 arms, and 10 ears. Now I'm hoping this week, in between working on the t-shirt quilts, I can go ahead and get more of these done so that I'll have them all set. I guess after this point I'll probably do them one bear at a time, because the assembly line won't be as easy, or maybe it probably would be easier, so I'll know each step and I won't have to look it back up. That's a great idea. That's why I have you guys here to help me talk through these things. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these bears off assembly line as much as I can this week. It may take me into next week, and that's okay. As I get rolling on these bears, my goal, my dream goal for these bears is to be able to do one a week. So since I have 5 bears, if it takes me 5 weeks, I'm okay with that. So that was it for me this week. That's what I worked on. Next week, my main thing is going to be finishing up a t-shirt quilt and getting as far through the process as I possibly can. If I can get one done a week, I will be very pleased. And in between that, because that's only going to be something I work on in the daytime, I'm still working on my son Robbie's socks. I'm trying to get those done because I ordered some new rainbow yarn for him. He's always wanted a pair of rainbow socks, so I finally found some rainbow yarn. And if I get to it, I'll put a little bit of work on my Freedom project. I hope everyone has an amazing week, and I hope you get something accomplished. Spend a little bit of time doing something crafty, something you love. Enjoy this beautiful weather that you're having, and I'll see you next week. Bye.